All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are talking all about cybersecurity. Think of this as your personal guide to building a fortress around your digital life, giving you the tools and the know-how to stay safe out there. So, let's get started. But first, I want you to ask yourself this question. Seriously, how safe is your digital life? All of it, your photos, your private messages, your banking info, is it really locked down? This isn't just a big company problem anymore. It affects every single one of us, every single day. So what is cybersecurity really? It's not just a tech buzzword. At its heart, it's the whole strategy, the big picture plan for protecting our digital world, our phones, laptops, networks, and all the data that lives on them from a crazy number of threats out there.
And before we can talk about the solutions, we first have to get a really good handle on the problem. So, let's take a little trip into what I like to call the digital danger zone.
You know, every time you hop online, you're stepping into an environment that's just filled with risks. And these aren't just random accidents. A lot of them are carefully crafted threats, specifically built to sneak into your digital life and mess with your data and your privacy. So what do these threats actually look like? Who are the villains in this digital story? Let's break down the anatomy of a cyber threat. And wow, it's quite a list, isn't it? You've got malware, which is just nasty software, phishing attacks, which are all about tricking you, denial of service attacks that can shut down websites, ransomware, which literally holds your files hostage, even threats that come from inside a company, and of course, social engineering, which is basically the art of manipulation.
Phishing is so incredibly effective because it doesn't target the computer, it targets the person sitting in front of it. It doesn't need to crack a complex password if it can just fool you into handing over the keys. It pretends to be someone you trust, your bank, a friend, a coworker, to get what it wants.
You've seen these, right? That heart-stopping email. Notice the keywords? Urgent, now. They're creating a sense of panic. They want you to react emotionally, to click before your logical brain kicks in and says, wait a minute, is this legit? That feeling of urgency is always a massive red flag.
Now for a totally different kind of attack. A denial of service or DOS attack is like one person deciding to block the entrance to a really busy store. Annoying, for sure. But a distributed denial of service, a DDoS attack, that's a whole other level. That's like a giant coordinated mob blocking every single door and window, making it impossible for anyone to get in. It uses a whole army of hijacked computers to cause a total shutdown.
Okay, let's zoom in a bit on maybe the most famous type of malware out there, the virus. We all use the term, but what does it actually mean for a computer to get a virus?
Well, just like a biological virus, a computer virus needs a host to survive. It can't do anything on its own, so it latches onto a normal file, like a document or an app. The moment you open that file, you're not just running your program, you're also unleashing the virus, letting it copy itself and spread to other files on your system.
And believe me, they come in all shapes and sizes. Some infect program files, others hide inside Word or Excel documents, some even attack the most fundamental part of your computer's startup process. But then you get the really, really smart ones, polymorphic and metamorphic viruses. Okay, this is where it gets kind of wild. A polymorphic virus is like a master of disguise. It changes how it looks, its code, to try and slip past antivirus software. But underneath the disguise, its core mission is still the same. A metamorphic virus, though, that's a true shapeshifter. It doesn't just put on a new coat. It completely rewrites its own code every time it infects a new system. It becomes a brand new virus, making it incredibly hard to detect.
All right, enough of the doom and gloom. We've seen the threats, but the good news is we have defenses. So let's talk about our first line of defense, our digital immune system.
Honestly, the best way to think about antivirus software is exactly like that, as your computer's immune system. Your body's always on the lookout for germs and invaders, right? Well, antivirus software does the same thing. It's constantly working to find, stop, and get rid of malicious software before it can cause any real problems.
So, how does it do it? Well, it has two main methods. The first is signature-based detection. This is like having a giant database of criminal mugshots. It scans files on your computer and looks for an exact match to a known virus. It's fantastic for catching the bad guys we already know about. But what about new threats? That's where heuristic analysis comes in. It's more like a detective. It doesn't look for a known criminal, it looks for suspicious behavior. Like, why is this program suddenly trying to encrypt all my photos? That's how it can catch brand new threats it's never seen before.
It all boils down to a simple 3-step process that's always running. First, it's constantly scanning, everything from downloads to emails. Second, it detects a threat, using either those mugshots or that detective work we just talked about. And finally, and most importantly, it neutralizes it. It'll either lock the file away in quarantine where it can't do any harm, or just delete it from your system completely.
Now, antivirus is absolutely critical, but it can't do the job alone. A really strong defense has layers, so let's add some more walls to our digital fortress.
If antivirus is your internal security guard, think of a firewall as the big, tough gatekeeper standing at the main entrance to your castle. It inspects all the traffic coming in and out of your network, and based on a set of rules, it decides who gets in and who gets blocked. It's often your very first line of defense. And this one is so important. Look up at the address bar in your browser right now. You'll see either HTTP or HTTPS. That little S at the end means everything. Without it, any information you send, passwords, credit card details, is sent in plain text. It's like sending a postcard that anyone can read. But with HTTPS, that S stands for secure. It encrypts all your data, scrambling it into a secret code. So always look for that S and the little padlock icon. So we've talked tech, we've talked software, but there is always a human element to cybersecurity. There are the attackers, the defenders, and of course, there's you. We hear the word hacker all the time. But it's more complicated than that. It all comes down to intent. An ethical hacker, also called a white hat, is one of the good guys. Companies actually pay them to try and break into their systems to find the weaknesses before the bad guys do. A cracker, or a black hat, is the opposite. They use the exact same skills, but for malicious reasons, to steal, cause chaos, or just for personal gain. Same skills, totally different goals.
And that really brings us to the final, most crucial point. You can have the best software, the strongest firewalls, but at the end of the day, a huge number of security breaches happen because of a simple human mistake. So I'll leave you with this to think about. What's your strongest defense? Is it the software on your computer, or is it your own awareness? Your ability to spot that fishy email, to use a strong password, to think twice before you click? Something to consider.